Welcome to Tarvalon Talks. In this episode, we're going to discuss the holiday of Samhain, its history at tarvalon.net, and how we celebrate it. Also, we're joined by Alexr from our Servant of All committee to talk about our Servant of All focus for this month. And lastly, our new host, Fenya, joins us and gives us her favorite scene from the books. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy our show. Hello, and welcome to Tarvalon Talks. I'm Doll, and I'm here with Thad, and this time we have a new host, Fenya.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Glad that you could join us this time.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us how you got in the Wheel of Time.
So, my best friend Dianna, who has previously hosted on the show, actually is the one who got me into it. We were roommates in college, and she was reading these books, and she was like, Fenya, you should read them. Like, I think you'll really enjoy them. And I sped through the first 2.5 and then stopped and never picked it up again for 10 years afterwards. Until finally the show was coming out. She was super excited about it. She was like, I really want someone to talk about the show with, because I don't really have any friends who are into it or who have read all of the way through. Please, would you pick up the series again? And so I did. I started from book 1 and read all the way through the end and loved it this time. I didn't have any issues with losing interest. I was just totally engrossed in the story. And that's how I discovered Wheel of Time.
So how long have you been on tarvalon.net?
Dianna and I joined at the same time, right after Jordan Con 2022. So April, I think. And as expected, she was the one who jumped into tarvalon.net, and I was like, okay, I might as well follow. And it's been fun.
Oh, that's great. I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's been great, joining the community and getting to know people. I mean, compared to a lot of people, I feel like I know very little about Wheel of Time. So I'll probably be the novice voice on this show, asking questions.
Sometimes it's great to have a new perspective, because I've been talking about this for 20 years now, and I feel like I sometimes don't get the same perspective that somebody that just started reading has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you on that one, Doll.
Well, it is October, and that means it's spooky season, so we're going to talk about the Wheel of Time's kind of spooky holiday. I believe that it is pronounced Samhain, much like the Gaelic version, but it's spelled slightly different. Some people pronounce it Shaoman. We don't get a pronunciation guide, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about it. We don't actually know a lot about it. It is the 12th day of Shaldine. I don't actually know how to pronounce that either.
It's the 12th day of some month.
Yes, it's the 11th month of the Faraday. That's another word I don't know how to pronounce either.
It's one of those that you always you just say it in your head, and you've never really said it out loud until you're talking to somebody else and you realize,
Yeah,
I have no idea how to pronounce this.
I don't even pronounce them for the longest time. When I got to Nynaeve's name, until I heard it pronounced, it was just when I read it.
Yeah, I feel like I do the same thing. A lot of the names and titles and everything in the book, I just kind of not mentally gloss over, but a little bit mentally gloss over, because I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce that. I know we have a glossary, but I don't want to distract myself by looking it up. My eyes will read the letters, but my brain will not interpret anything.
As you do.
Yes.
My brain just went.
Yeah.
So yeah, Faraday calendar, which is slightly different than ours. They have a 13-month calendar, and this is the 11th month. But if you put it up against the Gregorian calendar, it sort of works out to be around mid to late October. So we know that in the Wheel of Time, Samhain is oriented towards children. They get cosseted and praised and given gifts. I'm reading from the glossary now. In some places, groups of children go from house to house, singing songs and being rewarded with sweets. That's kind of like trick-or-treating.
It's kind of like caroling mixed with trick-or-treating.
Yeah, it's like caroling mixed with trick-or-treating, or you have that little sing-songy rhyme, the trick-or-treat, smell my feet, or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I think it's sort of a mix of caroling and trick-or-treating, since it falls in the October time frame. It really does match up with our idea of Halloween.
I have a question which you may or may not know the answer to. Where in the books do they talk about Shaoman?
They don't really. I think we see it in the Big White Book.
I think that's where I read it as well.
Because when you guys first brought it up, I was like, I have no idea what this is in relation to the series.
There are several festivals mentioned that are only just briefly brought up. I just got the Big White Book out. Okay, it is in the Big White Book. I found it, and it's exactly what I just read. I don't know if it's in the glossary.
I think it's in the glossary. It's just a few sentences of, children getting praise, going house to house, caroling, so on, so forth and so forth. They probably just took the info from the Big White Book and put it into the glossary. So I guess the question is, how did the site really get into celebrating Shaoman every year if it's kind of tetrarially mentioned in the books? It's never really touched on. Character probably talked about it in passing once or twice, or more than one character mentioned it. Because, the entirety of the series only takes place over the course of a few years at best. So only like a couple of Shaoman pass, or Samhain, however you say it.
I don't know how we started celebrating it on the site exactly. I don't know whose idea it was. I know that like very early on we started celebrating just as a chance to goof off and do things we wouldn't normally, and that became, because it was so close to Halloween, it became our Halloween celebration where everybody was allowed to change their avatars, and then we started doing competitions for themes, and people would come up with games and stuff for people to play on the forums.
That's been going on for a pretty long time. I think on the site, it's been going on since, I think, the first or second year of inception of the site, because according to our library, it dates back as far as 2003.
Yeah, I don't remember not doing it. It wasn't quite as big as it is now, not as organized.
And it sounds like nowadays it's a pretty big community building activity, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of the various holidays and stuff become a chance to get people out of their shells and interact with other groups that they wouldn't normally interact with, and a little bit of friendly competition, or maybe not so friendly sometimes. Not talking is a brown that gets very competitive at times.
So, like, what kind of competition is involved?
So over the years, there've been different things. There's all like they'll have trivia competitions. Back in IRC days, it was using a trivia bot in IRC, and I think they do it in Discord now.
Every community group they'll make a thread in a special form that is put forward to the public every year for Samhain or Beltane, or I don't think we do anything for Feast of Lights anymore. For example, last year there was a group theme contest, there were logic puzzles, there was a boasting contest, a clue game, a digital escape room, and a writing contest. Every community group has their theme, and everybody votes for the best group theme. You also get team with the most points. Someone will get the Spirit of Samhain, and then I believe there is an award for the team, because we also have a team that kind of organizes everything for everybody to do, because it would be really hard to do if it was just kind of everybody on their own for this thing. So we have our outreach team, and people can apply to join up and help organize said event and help get all the community groups to do their themes and events and such. So they are the real rock stars.
Yeah, they really are. And they do stuff all year to try and keep people engaged, and they do a really good job of it.
Let's just touch on last year's theme. It was, I believe, the Trolloc Band's mashup, kind of like a Trolloc fist with a twist. And the group I was in, we did Tinker Trollocs. Let's run through last year's themes. Usually it goes by community groups, so, all of the Ajas and all of the companies. But I think for Samhain specifically, we just broke everybody up into 4 teams. So in team 1, we had the Babak Garshin, cute or stealthy, always deadly. And then we had the Tra-la-la-la-lolix. And then another one was Trollocs at the Disco. And team 4 was Trolloc Zombies, the Nombies.
Those are all great.
The team I was in, the Tinker Trollocs, we were the Tra-la-la-lolix. Each team gets their own private forum that they can, talk to each other in to organize, hey, here's what we're going to do. Last year, I think 2 of us basically edited the avatars for everybody else in the group.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It's not as much as you would think. It was like, find a picture of a human-esque creature, and we just kind of inverted some colors on it or drew some stuff over it. Very simple stuff. But Trollocs at the Disco were the winners of Samhain 2021.
I didn't realize they had sectioned people off.
Yeah, I think it was the first time that they did it, because at Beltane earlier in the year, every community group was in their own thing. That's a whole different discussion, though, because Beltane is definitely way more celebrated than anything else on the site.
Yeah, Beltane's the big festival because it's the one we know the most about.
not just 2 sentences in the Big White Book and companion guide.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool. I hate that I missed it.
We're gearing up right now for the new one, so be sure to get yourself involved.
Can you talk a little bit about what the theme for this year is? Do you know?
I don't know if they've technically announced it yet.
I think the team that I've been assigned to, we're saying something about cryptids.
Oh, yeah.
But I haven't actually been paying that much attention to the planning, I have to admit, so I'm a little bit behind.
I think they're doing it by community group again.
I think they're putting it out in teams again this year.
I think it's junior members and citizens, at least as one team.
I only got assigned to one of the teams today, and I think it's the unaffiliated.
I think it's community groups, and then the people who aren't in one of the Ajas or something have been assigned to a groups.
Yeah.
For anyone who is not familiar with Tarvalon.net, first you join as a guest, and then you can apply to be a citizen of Tarvalon.net, which gives you full membership. After you've been here a while, and you find people that sponsor you to join the tower, where you can either go down the path to become an Aes Sedai, or you can become a Gaidin. You go through the steps of being a novice or a recruit, and then soldier or accepted. And then we have divided our warders into 4 companies that we made up a long time ago, just to give the people who don't want to be Aes Sedai a group to identify with. And I'm not going to pronounce all the names. Maybe we'll go over that in another episode.
That's probably a good idea.
And I can practice it. So whenever we're talking about that, that's what we mean by community group.
So it's the 7 Ajas and 4 company groups, and then citizens, novices, recruits, accepted, and soldiers.
And unaffiliated senior members who've retired from their group or don't feel they fit into any of the others. One year, the Browns, we always joke about how getting the Browns to do anything as a group is like herding cats. And I had just been raised the head of Brown for, it's like a 18-month term. So I was the cat wrangler, and all the Browns dressed up as cats and just ran around doing whatever they wanted. And I would go around trying to tell them to do things. It was hilarious. I'm pretty sure we won that year. But I had taken my avatar, and somebody put a cowboy hat on it, and I had put a lasso on it. And so I was just running around trying to wrangle the Browns. And yeah, I didn't have a very good time of it.
So, sounds about right.
Mhm.
That sounds
Yeah.
like a lot of fun.
Except when it comes to the spamathon.
Oh, gosh.
The Spamathon.
Have they retired the Spamathon?
It's been retired as far as I'm aware.
Thank God.
For the uninitiated, what is the Spamathon?
It was a competition. It was to see who could post the most in a thread within like a 48-hour period or something like that. So like you would put 2 teams together and the winner advanced until you get to the last 2 teams that beat everybody else.
Yeah, the rules were basically you couldn't post twice in a row. You personally couldn't post twice in a row. You would have to wait for anybody else to post after you. And there was a theme to every round. So you had to adhere to the theme of the round. Like every sentence must contain a rhyme or something like that.
Yeah, and it had to be like full sentences and stuff.
And it couldn't be, obviously, you were going for low effort posts. One of the first spamathons that I did, I don't think I got a lot of sleep that day.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that's actually a lot more involved than I was thinking. Like I was imagining you just spam the boards with like GIFs, random GIFs.
Oh, if they allowed that, there would be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages.
And yeah, I was a little surprised such a thing would happen because it would be very hard to keep track of.
It was.
Yeah.
There's a reason there's all kinds of rules because people were posting like 1, 2, 3. Like I said, the Browns have a tendency to get
Carried away.
Yeah, we get carried away. We get very competitive when we're focused.
The first one that I did, I had to count the Brown versus whoever it was thread, and
I'm sorry.
it was a nightmare.
There were probably thousands of posts.
There were thousands of
Yeah.
posts.
And of course, being Browns, we had developed a method so that we just basically could have like people posting constantly. And it was not good.
I take it you guys won then.
Yes.
They won a lot. They won a lot.
I don't remember. Did somebody actually beat us the one year?
One year, I think so, but usually Brown was always the winner of the spamathon.
When we participated, but didn't always.
Mhm.
Sometimes it was like, nobody has time. I'm not into it this year. And then thank God they retired it because I don't think I could do it again. It got really competitive.
I think one of the last years they did it, it was hitting like 300 pages. So just 20 times 300, and that's the amount of
Another
posts.
community group decided they were going to take us down, and we weren't. So yeah. A quick editing note, since we recorded this, they have announced that they are doing the Spamathon again this year. Good luck to everybody who decides to participate. I, for one, will be sitting it out this year. And then another year, and I don't remember if this was for Samhain or something else, but it was a pirate theme, and they had a scavenger hunt. We had to go around the different parts of the site and do pirate things, including one time we jumped into the IRC channel and had to get people, so many people to post like piratey stuff and then take a screenshot of it.
I was looking through the library, and one year they did an actual costume contest where you had to dress up in something and submit it.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, that one was from 2011. So there were actually 4 separate costume contests held that year. And there was a children's division, a cute division, a scary division, and a Wheel of Time division.
Are there still I'm assuming that like contestants posted these pictures somewhere? Are they still up on the forum somewhere?
Yeah, if you go and look at the Sawane 2011 wiki entry for the library, you can see the winners of each of the divisions.
Oh, neat. Can you also see winners for other competitions like the Spamathon or?
Oh yeah, that stuff usually gets logged every year. They're pretty good about updating the library for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the more recent years.
Yeah.
Like the further back you get, the less detailed.
Yeah, the less. But if you go with the last 5 to 7 years, there's going to be a litany of information for every year, basically.
I'll have to check it out and see what I'm getting myself into.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do, and it takes very little commitment from your half. Just show up once a day, do some stuff, have some fun, get to know other people on the site. That's really the crux of it, is just to get you to talk to other people, because as with any social club kind of aspect, you generally will tend to fall in with a circle of people and not really talk much outside of that. So these bi-yearly, tri-yearly, however many we do now. We do Beltane, definitely. We do Selwyn, definitely. I can't remember if we do any of the others anymore, but these are great ways to get to know other people in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like one of the things that I've really enjoyed about participating in the Tarvalon.net community is like just how many opportunities there are to meet people outside of like the little circle of people that I interact with most. So not that that's specific to the Samhain celebrations necessarily, but that is another just aspect of it that as a newcomer to the site, I really appreciate.
Yeah, we're a friendly bunch.
You are. I love it.
We're all just a bunch of nerds, and we're happy to have people who want to talk about the same things we've talked about for 20 years. So
You know what? I will always say this. If you want to talk Wheel of Time, I will sit down and talk Wheel of Time with you. I am always game to talk this. That's why I'm here.
each month at Tarvalon.net, we like to pick a focus for our Servant of All program. Today, I'm joined by Alexr Alpetros. He is a member of our Servant of All committee, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about our Servant of All team and this month's focus. Welcome, Alexr. Can you tell us what the focus is for October, and maybe tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the Servant of All committee?
All right, I'll try and control my marine saltiness and not swear too much, but you do have editing capability.
Yeah, I can edit that out.
So how we kind of structure it, and of course, this is just us. It can be done any way possible, but normally whoever's doing it will collect up information and then each week do an info dump that's also reflected in the Tarvalon social media pages or platforms. So if you're not on Tarvalon Net Instagram yet, go out and do it, or their Facebook page. You can find the stuff there too. And so like once a week, you'll get like 4 little dumps and 4 different focuses. In addition, we also try and do a movie somewhat related to it. This month, we're doing Peanut Butter Falcon. I mean, it's a great movie. I'll be honest, as always, I haven't seen it. It's on my long list of movies that I want to see. And the main character, or one of the main characters in the movie, has Down syndrome. And of course, then the movie explores a lot of the issues around Down syndrome. So that's kind of the structure that we use, an info dump a week and then maybe a couple movies that somewhat reflect the theme for the month.
That's really cool. Is there anything specific about this month that you want to spread more awareness about?
I can only speak from my experiences. And of course, I'm a jarhead, so I'm not the smartest tool in the shed. I like to eat crayons and that sort of stuff. And when I first had to deal with my nephew who has Down syndrome, like it was very uncomfortable for me. And I remember like he would come over and I'd be like, oh man, I don't want to have to deal with this. And she who must be obeyed, AKA my gorgeous bride, slapped me upside the head a couple times as she's wont to do. And she said, hey, you got to, pull your head out of your back pocket and reconsider this. And so it's funny. My nephew's name is Timothy. And I actually don't call him Timothy. I call him Timmy Tim Tim.
Aw.
Uh, and so I was like, I'm just kind of being a jerk. I need to open up my heart a little bit to this. And so I did. But I didn't know how to address him because they behave differently, they think differently, they react differently. And so it was like walking into a lion's den. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I started taking the time that every time I would see him, I would scream, Timmy, Tim, Tim. And I would go up and I would get really close and pretend like I was going to hug him and wait for him to come to me, right? Because sometimes they don't want the hugs. And it was interesting because like he just totally like accepted me. And it was like he knew that I was uncomfortable, but that I was trying to make the effort. At the time, he was just an 8-year-old boy. I mean, I just treated him like that. And I deal a lot with scouts, so I'm used to working with young people. And so that's what we did. And I would always take the time, whether it was to read a book or play Legos or just get on the ground with him. Anyway, cut the long story short, we developed this just beautiful relationship. And he's actually developed, right? Like, surprise, surprise, like a normal human being. I hate to say it that way, but right, like we all grow up and we all develop, and he has too. And he's gained greater capabilities, greater articulation, greater mobility. And I just initially saw this handicapped person that I couldn't deal with. And I didn't realize that this was a growing, changing human. And so I put up a video. If you get a chance, check it out. It's in the Servant of All forum in the October thread on Tarvalon. He came out, and we live in the mountains. So I took him sledding, and he loved sledding. And then we took him out skiing. And I'm not going to say it was easy, but I've got other children. Putting my 5-year-old on skis was hard as a parent. You have to be patient, right? Like you're like, oh, I want to go ski. This is taking 4 hours to just get a ski boot on, whatever. You just relax, you go with it, you move at their pace. We got him on skis. Now he comes out. He's about 15 years old now, and he skis. So there's a video of him, and the video is pretty adorable. I haven't gotten an updated one, but it literally is the first time where we just let him go, and he skied on his own. And if you watch the video, he's just like all of us. I mean, the joy and the love that just billows out of him is what we would want for all children. So it took me changing and less him changing.
Yeah. It's normal to feel awkward when you meet somebody that's different from you, but in the end, we have more in common than we have differences, and just try not to think too hard about our own awkwardness and move past it and grow.
That's really well said.
Thank you.
And you have to give yourself like time to grow, right? Like, the first time I decided I'm going to engage with him, I was still a jerk, right? It took me time. And as I've reflect back on it, I mean, that's kind of like every relationship, right? Like the first time you meet somebody, you kind of get to know each other, you get more comfortable. Next thing you know, you're doing tequila shots in Miami, right?
Maybe not with your 15-year-old nephew.
But it is cute. He is, because he is a 14, almost 15-year-old boy. He does have girlfriends. So that's kind of cute to see how he's starting to deal with that, because that's a lot of hormonal changes, right? But the same thing happened with my son. Once I got past slapping a label that masked my fear, wow, a whole new world opened up. And I would encourage people to, move past your fear and find a way to the love.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing it.
course. Can I make a plug?
Absolutely.
So, hey, Servant of All team is just one of the many teams that are at Tarvalon. About every 6 months, the team will open up applications, and I would encourage people to do it. It's fun to kind of put together not only the awareness months, we'll be doing a blood drive at the beginning of the year. We do a fundraiser for Tarvalon Net, right? So it's kind of nice to have Tarvalon Net. So, somebody's got to help raise the money for that. So all that sort of stuff. And of course, it's team. It's not me. In fact, I got thrown to the lions because I'm like the baby on the team. And there's other people on the team who are much better that could speak to this. But I would encourage folks when they see that application to sign up. And if you don't have my favorite new word, if you don't have the spoons, right? I never knew about spoons before.
Oh, you've never heard of spoon theory?
I won't say how old I am, but if you don't have the spoons to be on the team, I mean, we welcome one-offs like what Soro did, what Alara did, and Arena, God bless her, I love her to death. She just posted something on thrombosis, and that stuff's really inspiring. And I get it. People don't like to talk about the inspiring stuff that they're doing because they feel like they may be bragging or something. I mean, so I get it. I get the reluctance. But please share your stories because you might just be inspiring somebody else who's running out of spoons and needs a little spoon lift from you. All right, that's my plug.
I love the spoon lift. That's a new phrase. I'll have to use that. Well, thank you for joining us, and I really enjoyed talking with you.
You bet. Next month, our theme is veterans and military families. I'm looking forward to that because we certainly have some of those lurking within the halls of Tarvalon. And I'm not going to divulge it, but we do have something really special, a monthly awareness theme planned for December. So look to that, right? Look to the future. There's always hope.
Thank you so much.
You bet. We'll see you.
In this segment, our hosts will take turns telling us about their favorite moments from the books. Please be warned that this segment may contain spoilers. If you have not finished reading the books, I suggest you stop listening now and join us next time.
So I had to think about my favorite scene a little bit. I was initially thinking of the scene where Perrin goes back to the Two Rivers, and then I thought, no, there's a scene that I thought for me had more of an emotional impact, was more cinematic, was more memorable in general for me, which is in Knife of Dreams, book 11. It's the end of chapter 20, The Golden Crane. And in my edition of the book, the scene technically starts on page 453, but the bit that I'm specifically thinking about comes a little later. And this is the scene where Lan wants to go to Tarwin's Gap, and Nynaeve goes and musters up other, like, the Borderlanders to go and follow him. And for most of the book, we are told that Lan and Nynaeve are, like, madly in love, but this was the scene where I'm like, okay, yes, I really feel that emotion that she feels for Lan, and you really see what she's doing to protect him. Like, she can't go with him, she can't really do much for him, but she can do this. And the way that the jeweler responds to her in that scene, where he is like crying and, like really gung ho to go and follow Lan. I just found that so moving. That's a scene that always makes me cry. I mean, I cry at the drop of a hat, to be honest. But that scene in particular, I find really emotional. And I did, when I was rereading the scene for this podcast, like, I did start tearing up, and I was like, oh, Nynaeve and Lan.
You're so right though. Like when they got together, it just seemed out of the blue for me. I didn't see it. I don't think it was shown in the book. It was just sort of a, oh, okay.
It was always talked about, like it was always mentioned, like he's my one, he's my soulmate, but we never really see it until probably that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have to say that when I was reading, I did call that they were going to be together. Maybe, although on second thought, maybe that's just because I had read the first couple of books 10 years previous. I didn't remember much about them, but maybe that stuck in my head.
Subconsciously, you remembered.
Yeah. But for most of the time, and I think this is true of Robert Jordan, all of the relationships that he writes, like, he's not great at writing relationships. You're really told more than, like, shown that people are in love, and you're like, "Okay, Robert Jordan, sure, if you say so."
It's like the scene with him and Avienda in the Shan Outback, basically, when it was just like, and then the lights faded, and then you're just like, oh yeah, they got it on, but that was all we got.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that Rand and Avienda at least had some buildup, unlike with Lan and Nynaeve, or even with like Rand and the rest of the triad quartet. The relationships just don't do it for me in general in this series. I love the series desperately, but I'm not reading it for the romance.
No, it's not a romance, despite the cover. Was it Lord of Chaos?
Yes, the cover of Lord of Chaos is basically Rand telling the Aes Sedai, kneel or be knelt.
But he's got his shirt, like,
It's not open though.
it's got a deep V.
It does have a deep V, yeah.
And, you know, Paul Bialchik did
That was
Courtney-
so good at JordanCon this year. That was so good. Because it was one of those things he told everybody, close your eyes.
Yeah.
And I closed my eyes and I'm like, all right, what does he have in store for us this year? And then like after like 2 minutes of setup, the best I think I've ever seen.
From a backstage point of view, it was hilarious just watching him and Cassie just scrambling to put it up. And everybody in the audience just going,
I was one of them. I was like, I you know what? He always has the wildest things for the costume contest.
I'm really sad that Diana and I missed like the costume contest and missed seeing that.
Next year. Next year.
Yeah, next year.
No, I'm surprised if you're not reading it for the romance. I'm surprised your favorite scene isn't a little further on. And it's one of the Sanderson books, but when Rand makes the water explode around him and Elaine and wash. Do you not remember this scene?
I don't remember the scene.
He basically like turns the water into mist around him, and I believe it was Elaine, and basically shower them while they're standing there making out, and it turns into one of those scenes, and I'm just like, what am I reading?
I don't remember this at all.
That does sound vaguely familiar now that you mention it.
It might have been in Gathering Storm, but it could have been in Towers of Midnight as well.
I don't read it for the romance.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody. If you're reading it for the romance, you're reading the wrong book series.
Oh yeah.
Go read what is it? Those Sarah J. Maas books.
A Court of Thorns and Roses?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are plenty of better romance books if you want a romance book.
Wheel of Time.
Not Wheel of Time. But I do have to say, I do love the image of Nynaeve calling up all of these people that, that lost their kingdom even before they were born for some of them. And then the Taishar, Malkir.
Super powerful. Yeah, like any time there's anything like that going on, and just how she's able to just pull everybody together. It's like, ugh.
Even talking about it right now, I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
It's honestly, I think for me, it's one of the best scenes in the entire series. I mean, of course, that's why I chose it as my favorite, but it has so much power to it in a way that some of the rest of the books don't always get to. It's a fantastic scene.
It's like, how hard it had to have been for her to let him go, knowing that it was almost certain death.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that she wasn't going to be able to stop him, and the way Nynaeve is with control, and that she let that, but she wasn't going to let him go alone.
And I think that's another thing that I really love, because you can see her kind of grapple with what she wants to do versus what she needs to do, what her duty is.
It's just more of her arc of being able to let go and trust.
Yeah, like you can really see how she's matured from the start of the series.
Yeah, I think my first read through, I wasn't always the most kind, in my opinion, of Nynaeve, because I didn't recognize what her arc was, being a very young woman who took over a very large responsibility at a young age, and the way that she held herself and tried to prove herself over and over again. and finally being able to let go of it and just trust that she was going to be able to do the job that she was called to do. And it didn't matter what anybody thought, and just letting what is be. Such a powerful arc that in subsequent rereads I was like, okay, so maybe she's not as annoying as I thought she was.
I would argue outside of Rand, she has probably one of the most important arcs of the entire series.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Michael Livingston was saying in her interview with him about how Nynaeve was there from the beginning, like when it was just a spark in Robert Jordan's mind, like Nynaeve was there and she was so important to the arc. And I didn't always catch it the first time through.
But you can't help but get so frustrated with her in the middle books. Like, ugh.
I mean, but that you could say that about pretty much every single character.
Yes.
At all points,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Nynaeve is not unique in that respect.
Oh, absolutely not. But there are some decisions that she makes that you're just like, oh my God, what are you doing? But it comes from the perspective of, I've read this series like a dozen times, so I know it's coming. But on that first reread, I think I was, more accepting of it. But now I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God.
For me, I felt like Nynaeve's decisions, even if they were stupid, even if I was like, Nynaeve, what are you doing? Like, this is the wrong decision to make entirely. Do something else. They at least were internally consistent with her character.
Yes.
And I could see how she got to that decision. And I can't always say that for all of the other characters. Like, sometimes Rand is making decisions and I'm like, I don't know how you got here. This is just,
I can think of like a dozen different reasons why. And then for Egwene, it's always, what would Gawain think?
Well, for Rand, he's got multiple people in his head, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's understandable. Basically, for everyone, it's understandable.
Yeah.
For me personally, like for Nynaeve, I could respect the process that took her to that decision, even if I disagreed with the decision, more than I could in some other cases.
Yeah. I struggled with Matt for the longest time until I realized that he was the unreliable narrator, even within his own head. It wasn't until that I realized that, I think it was in the last book, I'm like, oh, he's saying these things, but he doesn't really believe them. Because I was just so convinced that he really thought these things and he did the opposite. I'm like, this is just so inconsistent. I don't get it. And it wasn't until I had that breakthrough that I was like, oh, now I understand Matt. Oh,
You get it.
I get it now.
Matt was, honestly, he was the reason why I stopped reading the first time.
I totally get it. I totally get it.
I get it.
Diana kept saying, he's my favorite character. Like, he's great. You'll love him, I promise. Just continue reading.
This was a snark too much for you?
I love Snark, but it was when he took the dagger. Like, I got so frustrated by him taking the dagger. Like, I get, shiny, ooh, pretty, but that was a decision where I just could not understand why he had done it. And I got so frustrated by it and by the consequences of those actions that I eventually stopped reading. Actually, that's something that I think that the TV show did well, is give him more of a motivation to take the dagger, because he is trying to care for his sisters and, he's grown up really, really poor, and that I could kind of understand. Whereas Book Matt is just, hey, this is a pretty thing. I'm going to take it, even though everyone has told me not to. And even though bad things are obviously going to happen when I do. And
he's a twerp.
Yeah, he is a twerp.
Yeah.
I mean, Diana was right. I did come to like him, but I had a really hard time with him in the beginning.
Me too. And you're right. I think that is one thing that everybody's like, well, they changed Matt so much. I'm like, good.
He needed that change.
He needed it. Because otherwise he's just a dick.
Exactly.
Like, okay, he's a dick, but he's a dick because he's hurting and he has duties back home and he wants to take care of his people. That's more understandable than shiny.
Yeah, 100%.
We got so off topic.
I always imagine in the books compared to the TV show that he saw, he was just like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I don't believe you. Yeah, that was the attitude and that drove me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then in his head, he was just like, well, I'm not going to do these things. And then he does them. And I'm just like, why are you doing it? Ugh. I just want to strangle him.
This is why Nynaeve is a powerful character.
Yes.
Yes. Her bad decisions make sense.
She frustrated me, but I didn't hate her at any point. I just stopped tugging on your stupid braid.
I think that some of the reason why Nynaeve is so jarring as a character is because we get so many tugging on her braids. Because if you take that away, sure, she still has some frustrating aspects, but she's not that bad.
She's got sniffing.
Okay, so if you take away the sniffing too.
I think that just about wraps up everything we had for you this episode. I hope you have a very spooky Halloween, or Samhain, or Shaoman.
Yeah.
However it's pronounced.
Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at producertvt@gmail.com, or you can join us in the general forum on the site in the Tarvalon Talks thread. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.